and welcome to the Jesus Victory Garden, one of the outreach ministries of Jarretttown Church. I'm glad you came to visit today. I'd like to show you inside the garden. You'll notice the deer fence that we have around the garden. It does indeed keep out the deer, and we hope that it keeps out the moles and the voles and the rabbits as well. Sometimes it doesn't, but most times we're successful. The deer would love nothing more than to get through the garden gate and get inside to have a dinner of these tasty vegetables. That's why we always have a rule that when you go in or leave the garden, you always close the gate securely.
Wait, let me close the gate securely. Okay.
We've had a cool, rainy spring and early summer, and that has resulted in a garden that is just beautiful and is doing well. You'll notice here our potato barrels. We've got a lot of them. We didn't start this way. We only started with a few, but we found that our clients at the food cupboards love potatoes, and so that's one of the ways that we choose what we're going to plant in our garden. We choose what our clients enjoy having. For example, they love collards, they love tomatoes, they love potatoes. We've tried growing radishes. They didn't like those very much, so we don't grow radishes anymore. Also, we choose what we're going to grow by what grows well in Jarretttown. Also, when we find that something doesn't grow well in our garden, then we don't plant it again. Also, we base what we're going to grow on the space that we have. You notice our raised beds, which is a wonderful way to grow vegetables because we can control the soil, we can control the watering, and also we choose vegetables that do not need a lot of space. For example, we don't grow pumpkins. Pumpkins are a wonderful vegetable, but you don't get much bang for your buck. And we certainly want to grow something that produces a lot of vegetables. Also, they run all over the place and they're not good for us. We've made a lot of mistakes through the years, but we've done a lot of good things too. Let me tell you about one of the mistakes. In these barrels for potatoes, when the potatoes are harvested and are gone, the barrels will be replanted with salad greens. In the beginning, I thought it was a good idea for us to replant the potatoes with cucumbers because we have that wonderful fence for the vines to grow up. Well, it was a good idea, except that the cucumbers, when the fruits started to grow, they grew through the holes and they got stuck in the holes the bigger they got, and we couldn't get the cucumbers out. So that was a mistake we made and we didn't repeat. This garden has been in existence since 2011. The garden was a dream, truly a dream, by our former pastor, Pastor Walt, who felt that God was telling him, build a garden. Walt was not a gardener. He knew nothing about gardening, but being one who follows what he feels God wants him to do, he decided to surround himself with experts who knew how to do it. He did a lot of research online, and thus the garden became a reality. Since 2011, we harvest about 1,000 pounds of vegetables a season, and to date, we have harvested 12,501 pounds that we send to food cupboards. We harvest twice a week. One day we send the vegetables to our food cupboard that our church operates in North Hills, and the other day of the week we send the produce to Manna on Main Street. Come and see more of the vegetables. I bet there are a lot of you who will look at this vegetable and you won't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
This is okra. I knew all about okra because my dad was from Georgia, but a lot of Northerners don't know about okra. But we found that our clients in North Hills love okra. Now it's small now, but when it's fully grown, it will be 10 to 12 feet tall. The downside of planting okra is that it needs to be harvested almost every day or the pods grow too long to be edible. But a wonderful vegetable. Originally, this was considered an experimental crop in our garden until we found out, number one, if we'd be successful growing it, and number two, if the clients liked it. We did 100% with both, and so now we do grow okra. You'll notice the automatic watering system. There's a timer over in the corner so that the beds are automatically watered in rotation. Each of the vertical rows is watered at a different time. You can see that this bed has been watered recently. You see the soil is darker. The one over there, the soil is very dark. This row has yet to be watered, but we're very lucky as gardeners that we don't have to carry the water buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Collards. Oh my, is this a favorite. This week at the cupboard, the clients were thrilled to find that collards were again available for them. A wonderful hardy crop that grows the whole season. Onions. Onions are also popular. You know when an onion is ready to harvest? When the tops turn brown and they bend over.
What kind of onion is that? That's a scarlet onion.
Then when the onions come out of the ground, they are dried in the sun for several days, which helps to preserve them, and then they are taken to the clients. Look at the peas. Peas went this day to the cupboard. Just look at those pods. It is full of pods. Peas are a cool weather crop. They have to be planted. They're the first crop that we plant in the spring, and they do not thrive in the heat. You'll notice that this plant has decided it's just too hot outside, and they all will look that way. So we hope that the harvesting is all done. You know to pick a pea pod when the pod is
It's
fat.
nice and fat. Yep.
And then when the peas are pulled out, this bed will be replanted with green beans.
How many times do the beds get replanted in one season?
Well, the collards grow all seasons, so they're never replanted. But anything that has a short life, oh, just look at those
Look at them.
peas. They are gorgeous. You can see we've planted a lot of beds of collards since they are so popular. In this row, we have planted peppers, tomatoes, and basil. Here's a small basil plant. We have basil at either end, and we have the peppers we hope will grow and produce well as the tomatoes. Here we have beets and Swiss chard. Here's the Swiss chard. This is called rainbow chard because the stems are red and pink and green sometimes.
They look like they're growing good.
While we're back here, our compost bin. We have a rule, and we've had it since day one. Not one vegetable that we harvest goes into our own mouths, and certainly doesn't go to our own homes. If we would find that there is something that we harvested that maybe hid in the vines or hid in the bush and is a little overripe and is not good to take to our clients, we put it in the compost bin. From home, we bring our eggshells, our fruit scraps, our vegetable scraps, and coffee grounds, and we put them in the compost bin as well. The only things that do not go in a compost bin are animal waste, meat, and citrus fruits don't do well either. Eventually this will be turned over by hand and will be moved over into this side so that the air gets to it, and eventually it will disintegrate. It will shrink down to perhaps this much, and that will be used to put on the beds to enrich the soil. I am very proud, Scarlett. I am very proud of the fact that our garden is 100% organic. From the beginning, we made sure that this is true. There are no chemical fertilizers used in our garden. There are no herbicides or insecticides that are chemical. If we need any insecticides, anything to combat insects, it's something natural that we hope that it works. And if it doesn't work completely, at least we're not putting chemicals on the plants. We are respectful of our clients and what they eat, and we're respectful of ourselves as well, that we don't get chemicals on our hands. Because of course we know that no one knows the long-term effects of the residue of chemicals in our bodies. Another way, and this is a little bit more difficult to talk about in the garden, but it bears talking about because it is part of our organic program. Over there in the corner is a barrel. This is our manure tea. I remember when I said to Walt, Pastor Walt, well, we are going to have manure tea, aren't we? And he said, what? Manure tea. I bring a big plastic feed bag filled with composted manure from behind the stable at the farm, and punch holes in the side of the bag, put the bag in, fill the barrel with water, put the lid on the top, and it steeps just like tea. Those nutrients come out into the water. We put them into a watering can and use them to water our plants at root level or at soil level. Again, something natural and organic to enhance the quality of our soil. Out here behind the garden, you'll see our blueberry plants. Oh, blueberries are like gold when the clients get those and they're harvested. The problem is that the bushes are on the outside of the garden, and the efforts to cover them with net have not always been successful. Birds have still gotten in and gotten the blueberries before we do. Also, when the netting wasn't quite that good,
That's pretty good netting.
the deer did get in and ate a number of our bushes. So that's not one of our most successful projects, but the blueberries are enjoyed when we can share them. Also in the back we have fruit trees. If we're lucky, we get some of the fruit before the squirrels get them. Now let's go up and look at the raised bed that we have up here. To accommodate one of our gardeners who had difficulty getting down on her knees, the height of the bed was extended so that she could tend it without having to bend over so far. We have planted carrots for years, and we've planted a variety called short and sweet, which are obviously short
and sweet,
which work well in our beds that don't have soil that's very deep. Now, since we have this bed, we can plant another variety where the carrots grow longer, like the ones that you buy in the food store. So this is very successful to be able to have this bed. Also, on the last bed we've not talked about, we have squash, zucchini, and we hope that we will be successful with that. In the past we've had trouble with vine borers, but
they look pretty good right now.
they look good now, and we hope the vine borers have gone to eaten someplace else. Over here in the corner, we have other herbs. This week we shared at the food cupboard, we shared oregano and chives. The basil I showed you is coming, and we hope the sage and rosemary will be able to be shared as well.
What is that they're in? Like
Those
bags?
are seed growing sacks
Huh.
that were donated.
Awesome.
This year we needed several more gardeners than we got. We're very lucky that people from our congregation want to help. Some are tended by one person, some by two, some by a whole family, mother, father, son, and some by several who share the work together. But we still could use more people. There are 2 beds that were not claimed, and it's not too late. You could still volunteer. We welcome monetary donations for buying plants and seeds for those who don't feel that they can garden. But if you volunteer to do this, I can guarantee you will feel blessed. Not only will you be carrying out our Lord's mandate to help others in need, but you'll be out in the sunshine, having camaraderie with church members, doing a bit of exercise, and it's just a win-win situation.
There's a lot of experts too, I know, because I don't know anything about gardening, but I came over and Katie gave me a tour and showed me everything, which helped me at my home garden too.
I wanted to add that you don't have to know anything about gardening. Katie does a wonderful job of guiding you from start to finish. Written instructions, weekly emails, help all along the way. So if you would like to volunteer, we would love to have you. It's not too late to volunteer this year. So thank you for coming to visit our garden. The work that we do, we feel, is to the glory of God, and that we are happy to be able to do this and to share the fruits of our labors with others. So
Thank you, Connie, for giving me the tour.